Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Tuesday, the 10th of October. So, before we get on and look at the technicals, let's have a quick look at the possible risk impact today. Let's just start off looking across, get into the calendar here, just update this. So, bank holiday yesterday, quiet afternoon, quite choppy at times. It just really didn't turn into much of a market at all to trade. Well, I guess that's expected a bit when it's a quiet day. Just didn't find a thing in the afternoon, and well, there we go. But as I say, I avoided it. So today then, it's another quiet day. Although the markets, the bank holidays are over, so we're out there and running. Just looking here, we've got ECB President speaking there, tentative. FOMC Waller, well, okay, 6 p.m. So not a great deal by the looks of this. So we've got much more detail on here. This, yep. So we've got a number of speakers coming through on here, and extra data here. Bank of England statement, etc. Meeting minutes. They might create a bit of volatility. They're not rated as high as this normally. They're normally yellows. They're normally out of sight. As you can see in Forex Factory, it's not including them. So we've got Fed speakers then at 2:30 that are actually there and listed. We've got ECB Villeroy speaking at 4:15. So quite a few Fed speakers much later and much later is the answer to that. Tomorrow then we've got US inflation, and I think that's what these markets will be looking at somewhat more and waiting for to a degree. Okay, let's look at the technicals, because that we can make decisions on. So Euro largely still bouncing, running southbound, but we have got this sort of bounce that's kicking in. It's become quite ugly though. It's just the way the markets run sometimes. It looked perfectly well for some more downside, and with what's going on, the safety factors, etc., you would have expected more continuation, but not to be. So we're sitting in this, this pennanty sort of picture. It's quite ugly, very unreliable, and best left alone is the long and the short of it. Could break either way. It's got the hint of upside, but the probabilities of them breaking is around about 50-50, and what that basically means is they can break out one way and then break the other way. So I will steer clear of this for a moment. It's just looking at what's really happening. It's neither long nor short really. I'm drawing these lines over lows and highs or whatever else, and none of them are that meaningful. Anyway, the pound moving on, not faring too much better here. Actually, I had an alert on there yesterday. It just didn't happen. We just saw it go completely the opposite way, bouncing against trend here. Continuation maybe of what we were seeing on Friday in the end. It looks like it's still heading up. I put this channel on yesterday, and it sort of fitted quite well in terms of the price action to a degree. But if you notice, it spends a lot of time in between there's a channel within a channel effectively that's probably sitting there. So makes it difficult for trading for me. It's got the hint of upside, but not a lot of upside potentially. Okay, US dollar yen. Well, this was looking quite fine until the Asian session here, and it's bounced back up again. Still got a short sitting on this, but patience is coming out of this a little bit. It was looking pretty decent at one stage, making new lows, but it's turned yet again, and very much an in-betweener there at the moment. Very messy overall. certainly not one you'd say, oh, I'll take a trade from here or there. Just ranging, but not decent ranging, if that makes sense. Okay, so the Aussie US dollar. Again, it was looking like it was pushing okay. It's run into the resistance, or I'll bring that back in. The monthly pivot there, it's run into that as a bit of resistance by looks of things, and is sort of rolling over. But it's got these higher lows beforehand, higher highs. It's a bit of a mixed bag. When you come down to the hourlies, you can see what it is. It's this horrible action from non-farms on Friday, messed things up, I guess, a lot. I'd started putting regression channels on these markets when it's like this, and I might do pop them on there. Well, I will. There's no might about it. It's the time when you sort of start looking to see, well, is it easier to spot something when it's running up like this. There we go. So you just pop a regression channel and watch the price action between these. It is easier to spot. There's a lot of colour on the things. I'll have to adjust these, but is it going to bounce from the centre there? Though it's not the cleanest of markets. Maybe some support further down the pivot, or slightly beyond there. We'll look at what's happening, but not simple. So the Canadian dollar just bounced into its 34, bouncing off its 34 at the moment. Still got the monthly pivot untouched below. It was looking okay for that. We've got the lower highs kicking through here, and then it's gone and done what it's doing at the moment. Now there is scope, and I'm going to pop this on here as well. It's through. I've got a few Canadian pairs I'm looking at with the euro, and it's a similar picture. So like the idea of these lower highs, to me at the moment is probably one of the better looking pairs. Aside of that, US dollar Swissy, this is we've got a similar sort of picture on this hourly. It's been coming down quite well on the 4 hourly. Overall, well, it's sort of between a rock and a hard place. A break and below this monthly pivot could see it target towards its quarterly pivot, main pivot there. So we could see further downside coming through. Again, we could be looking from the bounce of the or resistance into its daily pivot again. So I should stick an alert on that one as well. Just see where we get to with these. Likes the euro yen. Well, it's a bit of a pig's ear, to be fair. Look at I don't want to talk about it. There we go. Euro pound, not interested. Euro Aussie. Again, it's, well, maybe it's got scope, but it just looks on the intermediate time frames here and the higher time frames quite ugly. So avoided. Euro CAD, I've already talked about this pattern. No, I haven't. This is a slightly different pattern actually on the Euro CAD here. So it's broken out of its rising or ascending channel. It's probably done the distance from that channel already, catching a bit of a bounce at the moment. And there you are, it's saying the same pattern on the hourlies. That's really what I was looking at, to see how it reacts to its daily pivot. If you get some sort of reaction from this, there is the potential for a continuation. When you come back and look at the dailies here, it's certainly looks like it could carry on there. Okay, Euro New Zealand, not really that interested in any of these, although it's still, again, I suppose, let's chuck those on there. There's a lot of similar action against these commodity currencies from the euro. Pound and Aussie, the pound CAD, not too dissimilar in terms of what's going on. The pound's held up just that little bit better, but when you look at it on this higher time frame here on the dailies, it just looks like it could roll over, but holding firmish at the moment. But to break the lows there, maybe even just come back here, break of those lows could signify further downside. Right, so really not the best looking markets out there. I will go through the rest of the majors in the trading room in a short while. Quick look then at gold and what's going on there. So that slipped back down again this morning, ended up with a gap and a positive movement, but that gap looks like, well, at some stage now, if the price, if things carry on settling down, that could be a target. Maybe not from here. Wait for it to show a lower high. It's done a little bit of divergence, so I should imagine over these highs here, but I'd wait for the lower highs to come through this, and this could be something there if you're keeping an eye on it. So asked to look at silver today. So silver, well, silver to me, it's done the same little bounce there. There's no great surprises. It's filled its gap, so there's no gaps that are sitting on it. So it hasn't got the target in that respect. But if gold starts to roll over, silver generally follows. A break below the pivot would see it looking soft again. Last week, of course, we had the sort of triple bottom. It's taken out that sort of movement, but I'm just looking at it in this bigger picture, and it looks bearish still. Before I look at let's have a look at oil first. Actually, what's happening here? This is slowed up again as well. So we're seeing a slow up. What could happen here is, and what would be interesting to me is if we get it. Well, I'd like to ideally see the gap fill now. It's a bit like gold in that respect. I'd like to see that gap filled. But if we start catching a bounce, break the highs here, it gives us a higher low, and then I'm back on looking for the bullish side of things. But yeah, it's just taking a bit of a rest. So ask me look at CSI 300 then. As it goes, it's still solidly in a downward trend. I haven't looked at these markets. The Nikkei bouncing a little bit better there this week, but overall quite quite ugly and prone to quite solid sell-offs for sure when that is happening. And the Nifty 50, well, that's looking a little bit more positive, but again, in the bigger picture scheme of things here, it just to me looks like it could just drop. There's a real uncertainty. The S&Ps, well, someone told me yesterday that everyone was screaming sell. Well, there could be reason for some of that in terms of some of the price action we've seen here, but for now it's chopping, it's messy. I haven't got a reason to buy. There is a fractionally higher low, a couple of higher lows coming through there. We've got solid resistance sitting in front on that quarterly pivot, which might just slow things down. We've got the monthly pivot ahead, so really I'd be looking for those areas more as a target to the downside. Also, just looking here, it's got to be near fib numbers where it's sitting. Yep, there's the 50% is right on the monthly, so there's some decent resistance, confluence of resistance sitting off of where price is. The Dow, a similar picture in terms of pattern, sort of getting this retracement, and we've got the monthly pivot, quarterly pivots above, which could form targets. The Nasdaq is in front of everything else here, but it's just running now back into its 50, and we'll see how it see its reaction from this. I mean, they have all given us higher lows. I'm surprised retail money isn't solidly into these markets on the very fact that there was some semi-divergence there. The Nasdaq, it's not the Nasdaq, it's the DAX, it's more known as. Goodness. The DAX here then, still looking relatively soft, choppy, ugly, potential downside. I'm just looking at trends that are along the lows there. Really not liking these markets at the moment. It's filled most of its gap there though, and there's this hint of risk back on, so we're seeing these markets just rally somewhat. And the FTSE, well, FTSE looking a bit more positive there. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. I wish you a great day's trading, and I'll catch you later in the on the YouTube there. I'll catch you tomorrow. Take care. Bye for now. So it's not the easiest of days there, is it?